Oh, um, shoot, Sean, I'm hitting go live on Instagram and it's not going live. Oh, I lied. There
I
it
think
is.
mine's live. All right, I think
All
we're
right,
ready to roll.
ready to roll. Oh man, well, we got a lot in store today. Welcome back, everybody. This is the Vegans Who Live podcast, brought to you by your favorite vegans, myself, John Thomas, aka the Bodybuilding Vegan, and we have Brooke Sellers, my absolute best friend, and aka Miss Meatless Muscle. Brooke, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I am so excited for our first ever live podcast. And we've got awesome questions from our audiences today that we pulled together. Total of 41 questions. So we're going to try to get through them all. We'll see. We may have to do a round two.
41 is going to be a lot because we did
Yeah.
the 20 fitness myths and that took over 2 hours. So
Yep.
41, I mean, we could rapid fire, but I'd rather see where the conversation goes. I think what we could do, since we are live, if somebody has a really good question and they drop it on the Instagram chat, I'll try my best to get to it. I got both my screens pulled up, so I'm gonna be doing lots of this if you're watching, head shaking back and forth. But yeah, well, we have a formula here, so why break the formula if it works? Let's go over our wins of the week. Brooke,
Let's do it.
what's your win of this week or wins of this week?
Okay, so I've got 2 wins as usual. So my first win is I got a Ninja Creamy and that shit's awesome. Highly recommend. 10 out of 10. I mean, the protein ice cream I've made has been so impressive. So that's my first win. My second win is I just have a lot of really good clients right now that I've really connected with, and they just like really appreciate me and what I do, and they're getting great results. And we actually, oh, really, this is kind of my win. So we had our first Meatless Muscle group call this week. And it was just great to get everybody together and connect together. I did that when I first started my business, but I kind of had a hard time with attendance. So I just kind of let that fizzle out as part of my program. But I recently brought it back as I had some people ask me for it. And I have a different clientele now. I've raised my prices and you know how that is. So yeah, it was great. It was awesome. It was good seeing everybody, and it was good to like kind of start building a little community. So yeah, that's my win for the week.
Cool. I like that. I have like my little
Thanks.
group chat, but I've never done like a live meeting with everybody. Um dude, I'm not even gonna lie. Like I haven't known what day it is like 4 different times this week. I'm almost even like, what is today? What's my win today versus last week? It's been nonstop for me since the last time we spoke. I don't even remember when that was. It's been, well, we talk every day, but the podcast must have been a couple weeks ago because
We skipped last
I,
week, didn't we?
yeah, we skipped last week because I saw
Yeah.
you last week. I had my tooth removed, and that's recovered well. My coach asked me, "How's the tooth feeling?" I said, "I don't know, it's gone, but the hole in my mouth feels just fine." So I hit not lifetime PRs, but I've hit post show PRs yesterday in the gym. So I'm like back. I'm back. And so that feels really good. Um Win of the week though. I don't even know, man. I mean, I feel like I could do like 15 little wins. I don't know if I have a gigantic win. We had our second academy class last night. If you guys are new to the podcast, we have the Vegans Who Lift Coaching Academy, and that's been going great. We got 12 students, and we are rocking it. We're teaching them how to become their own coaches, and I think that's extremely fulfilling. That's probably the fastest hour of my week. Like we were at like 7:43. We had like 17 minutes left. And I'm like, holy shit, this just flew by. So yeah, I can train at full speed and we're teaching people. So those are my wins. Um, yeah,
Love it. Are we ready for our game?
bring it on. Shaker cup. Shaker cup
Okay.
questions.
I hope we get a good one today. Let's see. Oh, okay. If you had to lose all of your memories, which one would you want to lose last? It's going to be a tough one.
Dang, that's deep.
I know.
Um, Mm. Well,
It's hard
the
to
one
pick
that
just one.
the one that immediately came to mind, I mean, well, now I got a few floating around in there. Like I have things like my family, or like memories of my dad, like taking me to Star Wars movies when I was like 5. Like that's pretty cool. Um, but as far as like who I am at my core, I think I would want to remember my breakup in 2022 more than anything else.
Mm,
That I think had the biggest, like, out of anything, like, the biggest shaping factor on me, going from thinking I had my future perfectly planned out and everything to almost overnight being a clean slate. I didn't wanna be a clean slate at the time, but now with that pain and that experience, I love every day, and I'm not, as best as I can. I'm not trying to plan super, super far into the future. If it's a significant other or a friend, I'm not worried about what do I need to do to make sure I can hold on to this person for the next 5 years. It's more of like, how can I enjoy the next 5 minutes? And it's brought me the power of the present. I used to live in anxiety all the time about the future. Now I live in anxiety about can I get everything done at the present moment that needs to be done, but that's a little bit different. I'm not worried about the future. I'm just worried about what I have right in front of me. Um, so I think from like what I function best as a human and the best value I have to offer the world is going through that experience and then staying positive and staying present throughout the rest of my life. And without that experience, I don't think I'd be able to do that as well. So that's it for me. I want to remember a breakup, which is a little bit probably not what people were expecting, but that's where my mindset's at. So, how about you?
For me, I would say my Vegas trip with my mom. I had the best time with her, and my mom is just everything to me. I mean, she's just truly done everything for me. And we just had so much fun. Like there was no limits. We just did whatever we wanted to do. Um, and it was just me and her. We just got to spend all day together. I took her to the Olympia, which was awesome. And this is actually the trip that inspired her to go vegan because we went to all these cool restaurants, like Tacotarian, and I don't know. We just ate so much good food. Like the vegan food in Vegas is insane. It's awesome, and it just made her realize like I really don't have to give up anything by going vegan. Like it's not that hard. Like it's actually really good, and um, we just had a blast. We like made so many good memories. So if I could remember one last thing, I would want to remember that trip with my mom for sure.
That is so sweet. I can totally see why. And I think that if somebody hadn't paid super close attention to our some of our more recent podcasts, I think the relationship one, that trip also came kind of like at a pinnacle of a year. Like it was
Yep.
about maybe a year after you got out of that really bad relationship, you found yourself in bodybuilding, you competed, and then you got to go out on this trip with your mom to the biggest bodybuilding show in the world. And I believe you did something with like the bikinis or the fashion show there. Um,
Yeah, I was in the Angel Fashion Show, which was awesome too, because she was just so proud of me. Like she was just so proud of to see me there and like be a part of something so big. It was just, and it's like you said, I could have never done that in that relationship. And my mom was like rooting for me so hard when I was in that situation. So it was just, I don't know, it was good for her to like finally see me living my life and getting myself back. And yeah, it was definitely like just a pivotal moment in my life, and we just really bonded, and it was great.
oh, well, great, good. I'm gonna sneak in another win. I have to. Maybe even not so much of a win, a sidebar. Um, so I've dated in the past. I've dated a few Hispanic women, and so I've started to learn some Spanish. Now, Allie recently came into my life, and she speaks Spanish, and so I'm back on the apps trying to learn Spanish and master my craft, my terrible craft. I'm not great, but I can get around and I can find vegan food, bathrooms, the important stuff. But I do cardio every morning at my apartment complex, and there's this guy. Um, shoot, I should have his name remembered. It starts with a B. I'd have to look it up. It's in my phone. But anyways, he's
Mm.
very kind. He's from Cuba. He's actually a tattoo artist. So he maybe, you know what, I won't say his name, because he does tattoos out of his apartment. So I'm gonna go get a tattoo there, possibly one for my dad next month. Like that's the type of person I am. Like
Yay.
this, like we just cross paths in the gym, but he speaks about as much English as I speak Spanish. So we struggle, but in a fun way to like find ways to communicate or like talk. He's like, today he's like, proteina, like how do I eat to grow? And I'm like, well, it depends. I had to get like my little translator, be like, "Do you track?" And he's like, "No." He's like, "Beef, pollo, uh, pork." And I was like, "Oh no, 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 no animales para mí, no animals for me." And he's like, "Ah." And then I said, "I'm vegan, so soy vegano, vegan." And he's like, He clearly did not understand. So I got my translator. I said, "I don't eat any animals or drink any milk para 20 años, for 20 years." And he's like, "Oh, wow. I wouldn't know." Like he was blown away. And it helped me realize maybe, Allie's in my life for some awesome personal reasons. But I'm realizing if I want to end factory farming worldwide, it's not going to be done in one language. And so for us to become the best activists possible, we're gonna have to be able to connect with other communities that don't speak our language. And so, I mean, probably almost all of South America, Brazil excluded because they speak Portuguese, speak Spanish. And if we want to have an impact in those areas, we're going to have to be able to reach those people. And so now I'm like, this all makes sense, universe. This is why these people are coming into my life and offering these lessons. And now that one other person that, if I didn't know any Spanish, I probably wouldn't have been able to communicate with him, or at least even have that initial conversation to get the ball flowing on what is a vegan. So, anyways, I just thought that was really cool. So I'll count that as a win. Some outreach in a different language, my first attempt.
Yeah, we're gonna need it because a lot of other cultures, like I remember I dated a guy who was from Mexico, and I mean his whole family was just like, "What the hell are you doing?" Basically, because other cultures it's just not as common to
Yeah.
have vegans. So yeah, we're gonna need it.
Yeah. Shout out to Mai in Japan. She says there's not a whole lot of vegans in Japan. She's one of my clients and also one of our academy students. So she can start the outreach over there. But
All
all right,
right, Q&A time. Are we ready?
let's jump in. We got a lot for you guys. At least 41. If anybody wants to drop in on the live and give us a live question, we can add that to the list. But yeah, let's go through it.
All right, number one. Any thoughts on intermittent fasting for regular people for health and weight loss? Which, by the way, I'm literally reading these verbatim. I did not change the English or punctuation whatsoever. So,
Brooke is literate, don't worry. My thoughts. If it works for you, go for it. There's no magic behind fasting, or at least intermittent fasting. It really does mostly come down to the calories that you take in per day. There may be some health reasons to do a fast, like a 24-hour fast every month or every quarter of a year, to give your intestines a little bit of a chance to have a break and recover. But outside of that, it's mostly about just like controlling calories. If you don't eat for the first 8 hours in a day, it's going to be a little harder to eat all that you need to eat later in the day. Conversely, like if you're bulking and your meals get pushed back, then you're just a bloated whale at night, like I was last night. So, yeah, that's about my thoughts. Brooke, you got anything to add?
yeah, 100% agree. If you're doing it for weight loss, it's like John said, look at it as a tool, not some magic pill in a sense, because essentially you're not doing anything different. You're still consuming the same amount of calories, just in a different window. So it's not offsetting anything. It's just maybe a strategy. Like if you find yourself binge eating at night, it may be helpful for you to eat within like a time period where you're mostly eating in the evenings. But like John said, you also have to have some awareness with that too, because I know some people who intermittent fast and it causes them to binge, like because they
Mhm.
are going so long without food. So you also have to know yourself. But there's no quick fix for weight loss. Intermittent fasting is great for some people. For some people, it may make their triggers with food even worse. So you just have to know yourself. But yeah, there's nothing inherently special that is going to make you lose weight about intermittent fasting.
Yeah. I like semi intermittent fast on my days off because on the days that I train, I have 6 full meals. On the days that I have off, I only have 5. So on my day off, I just like wait 2 hours later to eat my first meal. And then the rest of the meals line up. And usually I'm like extremely active, like working or staying busy. So it's like I'm not even really like super hungry. I haven't even eaten yet. I'm okay. I just have some extra coffee or tea to get me through, stay hydrated. That's, I guess, the other thing. Make sure you're staying hydrated. Um, the only downside I feel to intermittent fasting is you can only increase or spike your muscle protein synthesis so many times in a day. I believe like 4 or 5.
Yep.
So if you intermittent fast like a 16-hour fasting window, you could maybe spike muscle protein synthesis 3 times in that 8 hours that you are eating, which might be limiting you a little bit. But most people, like they said, if they're regular, they're not super concerned about getting as jacked as possible. So I think that covers that.
Yeah. All right. Number 2, favorite warm-up routine if you have any. What's your favorite warm-up?
Well, it might depend upon the muscle group. This is usually what I do. I'll get like a nagging injury in my shoulder, or right now I'm dealing with my hip flexor. So I'll do all the rehab and prehab and like mobility stuff before training and do everything like to get it ready to go so it's good. And then eventually it'll heal. And then I'll go 2 or 3 months without really doing a warm up, and then I'll hurt myself again. And then I'll spend 2 or 3 months doing the right thing. And then it's like, yes, there's a reason we did that and we should keep doing that. So I am not the pinnacle of health, especially with warm up routines. I think that you should. I do, though. If I don't do any like specific routines, I'll like whatever my first exercise is, I'll do a lot of really light sets and reps just to get a good bit of blood pumped into that muscle and make sure my joints feel okay. But I'd rather you guys should probably do whatever Brooke does because I'm not not the best here. I'm being honest.
I just do a 10-minute cardio warm-up. I walk at like usually 3.2 miles per hour on the treadmill, or I'll do the elliptical if I'm bored with that. But I do 10 minutes, and then like John, I usually will do some sort of like isolation movement to get warmed up. So like on my leg days, I'll do like a leg curl. Like it's unlikely that you're gonna really injure yourself if you're on a machine and doing a leg curl, as opposed to like going ham on some deadlifts or heavy squats. So I'll do a light set and just work my way up with my weights. But that's pretty much it. I don't do any stretching like we talked about in episode I don't know what. I think that was our 20 myths. But you don't want to stretch before a workout because that sometimes can do more harm than good depending on the person. Yeah, I mean, I don't feel like you need to really do anything crazy. If you have some sort of terrible injury, maybe, but I mean, you just need to get the blood flowing and just, like get into the movement and you should be fine. I mean, I can't even remember the last time I had an injury.
Speak for yourself. I've had like 3 in the last month. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think some sort of like warm up for that muscle group is probably not a bad idea. Something with bands, something dynamic. No like super hard static stretching or like trying to do splits or whatever. Oh, we had some activity in the comments. Somebody explaining that their grandma from the Dominican Republic was pissed off to learn what vegan meant, and then just other people saying that they love us. So thank you, Tyler. That's very kind of you. Okay, back to the show. 3.
All right.
On rest days, should we decrease calorie intake to be in a deficit or maintain the same amount?
I think so. I think it also depends on the level of fitness you're at too, and like how much you want to obsess over it. So, like my lifestyle clients who just generally want to be healthy and fit, I'm like, don't worry about it. Like, just eat the same calories, eat the same protein, like you'll be fine. Now, if you're a physique athlete, I do think you should probably, if you're, really monitoring your body composition, you should probably lower your intake on a rest day. I do. My coach has me do that. So I think it really just depends on how serious you are about your goals. How much do you want to track your food? How, committed are you to following your macros every day? If you're really, really serious about it, decrease a little bit on your rest days. If not, it's not going to hurt you to eat an extra, 200 calories that you normally would be eating.
Yeah, there's a few different ways to think about this. If you're training really hard and still in a growing phase, you're going to need that food on a recovery day, on an off day. There was actually a point in time where I was struggling to gain weight at over 5,000 calories a day. And I found out on my off days, I didn't go to the gym for 2 hours. So I had an extra 2 hours I could eat. So I put an extra meal on my off days. I was actually eating more on my off days. And that was because I was struggling to gain weight. Now, if you're in a cut, we're pushing pretty hard, at least like in a prep setting, you're probably going to have a little bit less food on those days off. There can be benefits to having less food on days off, almost like the intermittent fasting. It gives your stomach a little bit of a break. Like my protein is only 300 grams on my days off right now. On my training days, it's 370 grams. So it's significantly higher. And those off days give me a little bit of like a stomach break. Last thing that I'll say is for all my clients, I have them use an intra workout drink that has some highly branched cyclic dextrin. So anywhere from like 20 to 50 grams of carbs, depending upon how big or how intense their training is. So they kind of have it baked in, like they'll have their set meal plan, but then on their training days, they get that extra shake, which is some extra calories. So it's like almost, yes, a little bit lower on their off days, but they mentioned to be in a deficit specifically in this question. So whether or not you train that day probably won't put you into or take you out of a deficit. If you're in a deficit, your calories are probably low enough that even without that activity from training, you'd still be in a deficit. So I wouldn't worry about it that way.
Like it.
Cool.
Only 300 grams of protein. No big deal. I love how you said that.
To me, it doesn't feel like a lot, but
I know it isn't. It isn't a lot for you.
I blew some minds on Reddit the other day because they're like, I get 120 grams, and like I think that's plenty. I'm a 180-pound man, and I'm like, y'all don't even want to know. Yeah.
All right, number 4. Can you rely mostly on protein powder to reach your daily protein intake? You can, but should you?
What do you think?
I feel like once again, it's like, I mean, how serious are you? And how healthy do you want to be? I mean, there is a lot to say for your gut microbiome. I mean, you do want to have some diverse proteins in there. So, and it also, depending on the protein powder, some are better than others. You would want to make sure you don't have one with a bunch of artificial sweeteners that are going to bloat you or cause GI distress. I wouldn't recommend it, but it can be done. It certainly can be done. I don't think it would be healthy if that's your goal, to be healthy.
I'm going to come at it from a slightly different angle. It depends upon where you're at. If you're like, should I eat this chicken or this fish? I just watched Seaspiracy last night. Holy shit. If you have not seen that, you're missing out. Are you going to eat this chicken? You're going to eat this fish or this beef or a plant-based protein powder? I'd rather you eat the plant-based protein powder for every single meal than the meat for your health, if health is the key thing here. However, I'll say this much. When we look at building a healthy diet, we're looking usually at macronutrients to keep you alive. So things that contain calories like proteins, fats, and carbs. And then we're also looking at micronutrients, things to keep you healthy, so vitamins and minerals. You can get, how can I put this? Protein isn't usually paired with a ton of vitamins and minerals. Things like vegetables and fruits, which are primarily carbs, usually are. Certain fats like nuts, avocados, seeds, those are paired with vitamins and minerals. But protein by itself usually isn't. Like tofu has some calcium and some iron, but it's not like a huge nutritional wonder powerhouse. So out of all of the things in your diet, if you were going to completely replace a macronutrient with a supplement like protein powder, that would be the one to do it with, in my opinion. I think really for most people, for health, you could build a diet based around fats and carbs and get trace proteins and still be fine. Like a whole foods plant-based diet isn't going to be super high in protein. So then if you're thinking about it, then the protein, you're just kind of adding that on top as a supplement. But that's my thought. I'm pretty protein powder friendly. I feel like it doesn't come, if you get a good one, it doesn't come with a whole lot of extra crap added that you might get, especially compared to like eating meat for protein.
Yeah, well, protein powder every day over meat is, of course, what I would say too. And like we always say too, if you're not trying to be a bodybuilder or change your body composition, or you're not actively tearing down your muscles through your workouts every week, you don't even really need to worry about protein that much. So if you did do 2 shakes a day, I mean that would be plenty for someone who was just, generally just trying to be fit and healthy.
Yeah. Final note, using like vital wheat gluten to make seitan or TVP, I don't think either of those are going to be inherently more healthy than eating a protein shake. Something like tofu, edamame, tempeh, I guess those are all soybeans. So they're basically beans. Those are going to have some other nutritional properties that you wouldn't get from a protein powder. But yeah, outside of that, okay, I think we've beat that one to death.
All right, this one's kind of a long one. This was from my client, Kelsey. How do you prepare for holidays with your non-vegan families? I find myself trying to replicate everything everyone else is making, since that's what I've always ate until the past few years. I get stressed about what to tell family I'm bringing, because I'm likely to bringing 5 dishes that they are already making. This requires a lot of prep time and money, not to mention they aren't going to try my food because they already have another version of it. This leaves me with leftovers to either throw out or try to work into my diet over the next few days. How do you handle your holiday? Well,
I convert my family to veganism. That's how I do it.
Your mom is awesome with that kind of stuff.
They weren't always like that. My dad actually never converted, but he really supported me, and so I'll always be grateful that he did that. At the time, I didn't appreciate it as much as I should have, and it's also hard to appreciate what you have if you weren't on the other side. Like if my parents were adamantly against being veganism, I think my life would have been completely different. In this case, fend for yourself. I mean, I think being a bodybuilder does a great job of being vegan. Helped me be a bodybuilder because like, oh, I can't eat that because it has animals, and now I'm a bodybuilder. Oh, I can't eat that because it's not on my diet. It's like I choose not to eat it. Or maybe just try and coordinate. Say like, hey, it's Thanksgiving. I really have this awesome recipe. You're gonna freaking love it. It's these pumpkin cookies or whatever it is. Let me cover the desserts this year. Trust me, it's gonna be awesome. And then see if they'll do it. Maybe they will. Maybe they'll let you sub a meal. But otherwise, I would just cook for yourself. And they mentioned being stressed. I'm a big advocate of lowering your stress wherever possible. So whatever you can do to be not stressed, whatever that solution is for you personally.
Yeah, I have a little bit of a different perception, kind of like you. I just do it for myself, and I've done that for years over the holidays. And I get excited about making vegan food over the holidays because I've always grown up with the traditional dishes, and it's so fun to remake it vegan style. I love Nora Cook. She has awesome recipes. She has the best vegan recipes because they're actually like the traditional dishes, not like somebody trying to make like a gluten-free, sugar-free version of mac and cheese. You know what I'm saying? Which there's nothing wrong with that, but like it's Christmas. Like I want to eat mac and cheese. You know what I'm saying? So I've always been excited about making food at the holidays. So I make my own stuff. If you don't like the prep time, Whole Foods always has a holiday menu and it's pretty good. It's pretty decent. And Trader Joe's usually has some pretty good stuff too. Like they had a gingerbread loaf that was bomb, vegan gingerbread loaf. So you could do that too if you don't want to spend a lot of time prepping. But I will say this, eventually you should rub off on these people and they may just try a bite. And I tell you, every single time I've made stuff and brought it to my family event, they loved it. Like the vegan sweet potato casserole was much better than the non-vegan sweet potato casserole, and the vegan lasagna was actually much better than the Stouffer's, which no surprise, but so I would say do it for yourself. Half those portions if you make a recipe, and you don't have to eat the food just because you have leftovers. Like you don't have to eat it. Like it's okay. You can throw it away. So that's what I would say about dealing with the holidays.
You are a stronger person than me. I don't throw shit away. I eat way too I have to walk away. Great points. Yeah, you could support Trader Joe's carrying some vegan products by buying that. I didn't even think about Whole Foods. So yeah, you could easily, or even look at your local vegan businesses. I have seen like Instagram posts for places offering a Thanksgiving meal plate. And it's like that way you can support somebody else. You don't have to spend time in the kitchen. I'm all about that. So
Yeah. All right,
all right.
6 tips for structuring meals around training, examples of foods for pre-post workout.
Cool. Um it's not It's not that hard. Pre-training, I like to see a smaller meal somewhere between, depending upon you and your digestion, 60 to 90 minutes, maybe 2 hours prior to lifting. Ideally, depending upon your size, somewhere between like 30 to 50 carbs. Again, depending on your size, somewhere like 20 to 50 grams of protein and like 10 to 15 grams of fat. The carbs, you're going to want to be low fiber, very easily digestible. So something rice based, rice noodles, rice cakes, cream of rice, or rice itself. For the fat source, whatever sits well with you, macadamia nut oil is great. Almond butter works for most people. And then for your protein, that's one where I say go with the protein powder. It's going to be the easiest to digest. It's not going to have a whole lot of carbs or fats paired with it. The reason we have a little bit of fats with that meal is to slow down the digestion of those carbs. Then when we're training, I have all my athletes use an intra workout that has 3 ingredients: highly branched cyclic dextrin. We also have, and that's a carb source. We also have essential amino acids, and then we also have salt or an electrolyte mix. And then we post workout. I like a protein shake sometime within the hour after you set down your dumbbell or step off the Stairmaster or whatever you're doing, and then just a regular meal sometime after that. It's pretty easy to take protein powder with you or to take a shake pre-made with you. There's almost no excuse not to do it. This is from a bodybuilding standpoint. I guess you can take everything I said and just throw it out. If you're just one of the people that goes to the gym and has fun and like does a little workout, do whatever feels good for you. If you're trying to be optimal and build as much muscle or maintain as much muscle while cutting, then do what I just said. And Brooke is more than welcome to put her side on there.
100%. I don't think I could have said it better. It's really not that complicated. I feel like people overcomplicate pre-workout and post-training nutrition, and everybody's like, "Oh my god, the anabolic window. I have to get in the anabolic window." And it's really not that complicated. So, yeah, fast-acting carbs I think is the most important before a workout. And just make sure you're getting some protein in after you train, and try not to stress too much about it.
Yeah, sorry, that was me dropping stuff in the chat. Um,
All right, we ready for the next one? 7. How
yeah,
often do you recommend getting blood tested? Are there any blood markers that are typically different for vegans?
did you want
That's
to kind
also, oh, yeah. Example, is it normal for us to have lower cholesterol than the average range? How to read your blood test, things to look out for. A lot of caveats to that one too. Competitors are probably going to need blood work more frequently, especially if you're enhanced. I guess, if you're general, run of the mill, just healthy person, I mean, I would say at least 6 months or a year. You could do a yearly, but I like 6 months.
yeah. I mean, the best is as often as you can afford. I know some
True.
people that have gotten blood work every 2 to 4 weeks, but these are usually competitors that are a little bit out there. Um, Regular person every 6 to 12 months would be great, assuming you have no health issues that you're aware of. Competitors, quite a bit more often, especially like Brooke said, if they're enhanced, if they're using performance enhancing drugs, that's going to be something that skews your blood work and something that needs to be accounted for. Um, as far as blood markers specifically being different for vegans, now I feel I can give a little bit of insight here because I do work with quite a few people, both on the vegan and non-vegan side and on the bodybuilding and non-bodybuilding side. So we have a good bit of like crossover there. So with that, vegans are on a whole going to usually have lower HDL cholesterol. That's your good cholesterol. Now, it's not something you need to immediately go freak out about. because vegans also, on a whole, have significant. This is healthy vegans. If you're eating Oreos, this does not apply to you, like Oreos for every meal. But the healthy vegans will have a lower LDL by a significant factor. And based on all the research that I have seen, it is okay for your HDL to be lower if your LDL is also lower. The health issues that arise primarily come from having a very high LDL with a low HDL. And that happens very frequently on a non-vegan diet. When you're eating a lot of processed foods, especially processed meats, not taking in as much fibrous foods like oatmeals or veggies or fruits, that's going to let your LDL creep up higher and higher. And if you're not doing cardio and other things like that, your HDL will continue to drop. And so that when there's that big disparity, when your LDL is high and HDL is low, that's bad. If they're both kind of low, that's not too bad. If they're both kind of high, that's a little concerning. So, yeah, that's gonna be the biggest one. Like B12 on a whole, I'm not seeing come back low on vegans. Vitamin D3, though, everybody that's listening to this podcast should either be taking vitamin D3 or proving through some means that their D3 intake is high enough. But I've never seen it come back high or even optimal or middle of the road on a client that's not already supplementing. So definitely check your D3 regardless. I don't
Yeah.
know if I answered everything.
Yeah, I think that was good. Yeah, I think there's less disparity between like being a vegan's blood work and like an omnivore's blood work, and more just like someone with a healthy diet and someone with an unhealthy diet. Because I've actually seen, like you said, I have seen vegans with high cholesterol, believe it or not, even though there's not a lot of cholesterol in a vegan diet, it still can happen. And there's other factors that can affect that too. So, yeah, I think really, just staying on top of your blood work is always a good general rule. And of course, if you ever start feeling weird, start feeling some symptoms, some fatigue, whatever, then have your blood work done.
Yeah. And if you have issues, if you're going on like hormone replacement therapy, testosterone replacement therapy, if you have thyroid issues, you're probably going to need to do blood work every time a change is made.
Yep.
So if you were on 100 milligrams of testosterone a week and your blood work came back showing that that wasn't enough for you, and you go up to 150, well, then probably after about 2 weeks, once your levels stabilize again, you're going to want to go check again to make sure you're not too high now. So lots of getting poked if you decide to take the plunge, if you know what I mean. Cool. This next one could be long.
I know.
It
I
won't.
was like, this could be literally a whole podcast, but we could just give like a few little tidbits.
Yeah.
Ways to optimize gut and hormonal health. There's so many ways to do that. I would say if you're already a healthy person and you don't have a gut issue or have a hormone issue, because there's just too many variables involved. Like what somebody would need to do if they had like low estrogen would be totally different if they needed like to fix low testosterone. So if you're already a healthy person and you just want to have the healthiest gut health, hormone health, some of the best things you could do are like number one, sleep. Make sure your sleep is on point. That is the most important thing. And then also, I would say, exercise, daily movement. It doesn't have to be lifting weights. It could be anything. It could be biking. It could be just getting on the elliptical, dancing. But like daily movement is really, really important. Managing your stress is huge. Whether it's like breath work or just getting outside, being in nature. Daily sunlight is also really, really helpful for hormone balancing and gut health too. So, and always diet. Diet's huge too. Diet is probably just as important as sleep. So, make sure that you are eating mostly whole foods. Some processed foods is okay. I would say, maybe tracking your micronutrients might be helpful too. But I think really the basics are the best things for hormone and gut health.
Yep. I will second everything Brooke just said. Basically, be healthy. And then those areas, notwithstanding some specific issue, are going to be taken care of. Because probably somebody wants this on the side. Like there are supplements and things that you can take. I have a digestion health protocol that I use every morning, like a digestion cocktail. If whoever asked this or if somebody else is interested, send me a DM. I'll copy and paste it and send it over to you. You can take a look at it for free. Any of my guys or girls that eat a lot of protein, betaine HCl helps with digestion. So I have them add that to any like protein heavy meal. Outside of that, yeah. But I mean, I think sleep is probably the number one. Probably the easiest one for most people. Most people are not getting 8 to 9 hours a night,
Yep.
myself included. I could go to sleep right now. Uh, 9 tips on overcoming gym fear and filming for form footage. Benefits of filming, even if just for your own review.
Yeah, I know a lot of people struggle with gym anxiety, and I think one important thing to remember is that everybody there once started where you are. And honestly, like everybody's scared of like the big, scary, muscular people in the gym, and they think that they're the ones judging them. But actually, like they're typically the nicest people in the gym. Like I'm sure people probably have felt intimidated by you before. But like if somebody were to come up and and just ask you, like, hey man, I need help figuring out this preacher curl machine. Like, do you think you could help me? Like, you would be like the first person who would like love to do that, would volunteer to do that and help this person. So I think it's important to remember that everybody started where you are. And look, these people in the gym, they're in the gym because they're passionate about it, and like they'll help you if they want to help you. And as far as form footage, it's just one of those things, it's like, yeah, maybe it's cringy. Maybe people feel like, you're trying to be an influencer or something, but you can't care about what other people think in that situation, because the benefits to filming your form footage far outweigh what people in the gym think about you. Like that doesn't matter. What does matter is making sure that you have good form, being able to submit that to your coach so they can give you good feedback. And that's truly what you need to progress. So I would just remember your why. We always say remember your why for everything, but even for training footage, it's as simple as that. Like, don't care about these people in the gym, just care about what you're doing. Your form is more important than what they think about it.
I agree all around. If you guys see me at the gym, say hello. If I can help you, I love it when people ask me for help, because then I'm not being a know-it-all, overstating or overstepping my whatever boundaries I should have at the gym. Because sometimes I see shit and I'm just like, oh my God, they're gonna hurt themselves or break my gym equipment. I'll step in if somebody's damaging the equipment. I'll be like, excuse me, ma'am or sir, that's not how we do it here. Luckily, I go to a really hardcore bodybuilding gym now. So actually, I got to see this yesterday. I actually got to help. Derek Lunsford, current Mr. Olympia, was dumbbell incline pressing weights so heavy he couldn't even pick them up for himself. So me and another jack dude got to hand him these dumbbells. And then when he was done, he did drop them on the floor. And you're not supposed to drop these because they're metal weights, but they were like 150 pounds each. So he gets a pass. He's also the best bodybuilder literally in the world right now. So I think he gets a pass. But most people, I'll be like, hey, dude, this is everybody's gym. Don't be slamming that. Because I'm gonna want to use it tomorrow and it's gonna be broken, and I'm gonna have to find where you live so that you don't come back. But okay, I'm just joking around a little bit. Yeah, I love being able to help people in the gym, hands-on. Like it I like feeling useful. So yeah, if you see a big person at the gym, they love to help. It's like asking a tall person, hey, could you grab that off the top shelf for me? And they're like, finally, I've been waiting all day to use my height to an advantage. So yeah, as far as the gym fear, if you have gym fear, this is some tough love. You haven't earned gym happiness yet. You got to get in there and earn it. When I worked in like corrections, and I had to go tell 75 to 100 grown men to sit down and be quiet, or to go get ready to go to the showers or to the library or whatever, man, I was scared shitless for like the first week. And after that, I put in the time, and I'm not going to say it was happiness, but like I became confident in myself. I knew I could do it. And I can say this for a fact. I have clients that send me training footage. The first week in the gym, they're like so timid walking around there. They set up their little bench and like hope that it's not wrong and like fix it and adjust it. And then like I got one girl in mind. I think she might know who she is. She's been working with me for almost a year now. Now she just goes in and she sets shit up and she grabs her weights and she gets in and she rocks her set out. And I'm like, go watch your first video you sent me and watch this one and tell me how much more confident you are in yourself. And it's so cool to see that. So if you got a little bit of gym fear, it's okay. You just haven't earned that spot to not have the gym fear yet. But I believe in every person that you can do it. And for the tripods, I'm all for it. Go film yourself. Film yourself for you. Film it for your coach. Film it for the gram. I don't care. You pay just as much as anybody else to use that gym. Don't be an asshole and like put your tripod in front of shit so that other people can't use it. But if somebody looks at you and they're like, "Ugh, what's this person filming themselves for?" Well, you know what? They are never in 5 years or whenever going to be a very accomplished bodybuilder or a very accomplished person in the gym, because I can tell you pretty much, if you're not working with a great in-person trainer, if you're not taking training footage for yourself to review or for your coach to review, you're not going to be making the progress that you could. So fuck those people that don't understand. They just don't understand, and that's okay. It's not your job to make them understand. I've had people look at me before. It was a little awkward the first week, and then after that, I was like, this is just what I do. Now I take my tripods into like stores and shit, and then that's a little. We were at Walmart walking around with a tripod, and people are like, "What the hell is going on?" So that's a little bit different. But in the gym, who cares? And I wasn't always this big when I was doing that. I was still smaller at times. So anybody can do it.
And you got to be comfortable with being uncomfortable sometimes. Like it's where the growth happens. So if you're already looking to go to the gym, you just have anxiety about it, you're going there because you want to grow. And so embrace the challenge and you'll be thankful you did later.
I used to be scared to talk to women, believe it or not. So one month, I decided I'm going to ask out 100 women this month. And so by the math, that's 3 a day. But me being me, all I did was go to like 2 or 3 different gyms and 2 or 3 different grocery stores and go to work. I was full-time working and full-time in school online. So I would just get to the point where I'm like, oh, shoot, I haven't asked anybody. I got to ask 3 people before I leave the gym because I'm not even going to the store today. And I was so nervous for like the first week. And then after that, after like a week, I was like, oh, this is easy. I'm just going to go talk to somebody. Like, not a problem. Like they'll either say yes or they'll say no, and we'll go from there. Now, don't like stop somebody while they're doing their set or like be creepy about it. Sometimes I would even just say, here's my number. If you want to grab coffee, send me a text. And then I just walk away. Didn't have a high success rate, but it cured my fear of talking to people, talking to women. So, like Brooke said, if it makes you uncomfortable and it's not like burning yourself with a lighter, go do it. It's going to make you better. So no self-harm here.
I think we're on 10.
10 out of 41.
How to help deal with body dysmorphia, mental health. We almost made a whole podcast on this, but we can sum it up really quickly. And we actually made a really good post about this too. So we'll have to share that. But a couple different strategies. I would say one of the best things that you can do is to focus on the non-physical traits that you love about yourself. And, it could be anything. It could be how funny you are. It could be maybe you're really smart. Maybe you are an awesome vegan and you save a lot of animals. You do a lot of charity work. Think about the things that are really awesome about you that you really like that aren't physical traits. And I also think, maybe even taking a step back from social media can be helpful for some people because, like they always say, comparison is the thief of joy. And often people are comparing themselves to other people, and we don't always know the whole story. And thanks to people like Goob, John Dorsey, we're able to see that a lot of people out there are portraying themselves in kind of a false light. So they're photoshopping their pictures, and you guys have to remember, like, they're just, all of these people, they're just like we are. We wouldn't post the worst picture of us. Like, we're not going to post the worst picture from the photo shoot. We're going to post the best picture. So try not to compare yourself to other people. Everybody's on their own journey. Because that girl's been working out 10 years, you can't compare your body to her body. So no comparison, that's always helpful. And I would say, to think about the non-physical traits that you love about yourself.
I like all that. I was going to say, if somebody has a great idea, send it to me because I still struggle. And I think Brooke hit the nail on the head. I think most people that have body dysmorphia issues would not have gotten that without the ability to see other people, either social media or just media in general. for example, like, yeah, I was next to Mr. Olympia yesterday, but also on my feed and who I follow like all the top people in the world. So when I compare myself, I'm not always comparing myself on my journey. I'm like, how do I stack up compared to the best people in the world? And then it's like, shit, I'm not at the top of this list. And then you feel like you're at the bottom of a list. But really, I think practicing gratitude. If you're
Yeah.
listening to this, you have ears. I don't think we have a braille version yet. So, if you're listening to this, you at least have ears, and if you're able to watch this, you at least have eyes. Find what you can to be grateful for, and then it will kind of tie in other areas. Sometimes I'm not happy with how I look outside of my hip flexor injury going on right now. I'm pretty physically healthy and able to get around, and I'm grateful for that. So,
Love it. All right, 11. Thoughts on trending fitness topics like biohacking and carnivore diet.
what is biohacking?
So biohacking, I believe, is where people try to just totally maximize their cognitive abilities, basically, or really, I guess, any performance ability as well. And it's like all these like little supplements and stuff that people will take. Like people will be taking like 92 different supplements and stuff just to like, yeah, to try to get like an edge on something. So I know there was someone in our space who was doing biohacking and talking about it and making content about it. And they would take a ton of supplements to try to get like a little bit of an edge.
Oh,
Maybe that's
wow.
not the best description,
Well,
but
if that's what it is, now I know what to call myself. I'm a biohacker because I probably take, I don't know, 50 different supplements a day. I made a YouTube video about like just my morning ones, and that's like a solid 30 or 40 pills right there. Um, oh shit. I mean, I'm all for biohacking then. If there's stuff that helps you, if you can notice a difference, or you have blood work to prove that it's working for you, why not? Um, But there's also a lot of snake oil out there with supplements, so you kinda have to know what you're doing. I like to think that I do. I get most of my information from either my coach or from other well-respected resources, so I'm pretty confident in what I take. Um, Carnivore diet. That one I got a few different angles on, but I'm curious to hear Brooke's thoughts. She's probably all for it. I bet she rocks the carnivore diet.
you know me. I wouldn't be Meatless Muscle without the meat, right? So that mean,
Meat
yeah, I
muscle.
mean, yep, meat muscle. The carnivore diet, it's just again one of those extremes. And people get a little bit of relief from some sort of ailment and they just swear religiously by whatever diet or whatever lifestyle change fixed them. Of course, I would never support any sort of diet that harmed other beings or contributed to the detriment of the planet. So, I just think the carnivore diet, again, to me, it's just crazy that there's this massive group of people who truly believe that fruits and vegetables are bad for you. I mean, that's just absolutely insane when all of this data, you look at the oldest people in the world, what are they, centurions or something? All of these people, they're consuming large amounts of whole foods, not meat products. It's just crazy to me that, I mean, the data says otherwise. So I know there's a lot of like these anecdotal, people sharing their stories and claiming it saved their lives and maybe they feel better than ever. And like, okay, Liver King, like if you guys are looking up to Liver King, like I can't. The people who think Liver King knows it all, I mean, that guy is on, I can't even go there. But anyways, yeah, carnivore diet is just another fad. It's just another thing that, people are jumping on in an effort to also clickbait. Clickbait is off the chart right now. Everybody is doing stuff on social media to cause controversy, get attention because it gets a lot of likes. Like we were just talking
Yeah,
about yesterday, your dog meat, the post where you were talking about eating dog meat. That was like your
ethi
best performing post. So like the
ethically
carnivore.
sourced dog meat.
Exactly. It's like, and so like the carnivore people, they're doing like kind of the same thing. They post something, like crazy. Like I was a vegan for 10 years and I looked like this. And then now I only eat ribeye and I look like this. And this is all the things that have happened and changed. And it like causes all this uproar, it causes all this controversy. And so their post blows up. It goes crazy. And so I feel like a lot of it is that too, is people just creating all this like clickbaity stuff and trying to get attention and making outrageous claims on Instagram in order to gain traction in the algorithm.
Yeah, I don't understand their angle per se. Like, I encourage people to be vegan because I want them to be kind to animals and kind to the planet. But like, I'm not sure what like well, I don't know. Liver King might have been selling supplements, but a lot of these people are like, oh yeah, I just eat carnivore. Like, outside of building their following, I don't know what they're selling or what their angle is. What I'll say, controversy does work for getting you some views. Me saying that I was eating dog meat really ruffled some feathers on both the vegan and non-vegan side. We got a lot of hypocrites out there, and we got a lot of reading comprehension issues out there too. Not really eating dog meat, guys, but as far as the carnivore diet, my biggest issue with it, besides killing all these animals, is even if it was proven to be the healthiest diet out there, it's not sustainable. Like it's not even possible to feed the world a carnivore diet. So it's
Yeah.
not even that it's not sustainable. Like we could do it for a little while and then we run out. Like we literally would have people starving if we tried to feed the entire world with the carnivore diet. So then it's like, well, only people in the rich countries get to do it. Like it's just not sustainable. It's not possible. So I can't really get behind it to say like everybody should do this because we couldn't support it. So that's where I sit on it.
Yeah, I don't have much to say about it. It's just another one of those fads. It'll be over soon, and then it'll be Atkins dieting, no carb diets again or no fat diets again.
I did have one thing to say. If you go from eating a shitty diet to eating only like less processed meats, you might feel better.
Yep.
Because when you cut out all that shitty food, all that fried food, processed food, inflammatory foods like sugars, yeah, you might start to feel better. And you know what? When you only eat meat, you're not eating carbs. So your calories are going to be lower when you cut out an entire macronutrient. So you might lose some weight too. So you might see some beneficial things, but could it all have been done just as well, if not way better, on a plant-based diet? Yeah. So um
Great
there's
point.
why some people see some results from it. But yeah.
All right, why I should or shouldn't do cardio when cutting or bulking?
Mm,
I think you should always do cardio for health, cardiovascular health, whether you're cutting or bulking.
I agree. Every single one of my clients has cardio planned except for two. Two out of 40. One, she does some sort of like active yoga or Pilates or cycling, which I guess is cardio class in the morning, and then lifts at night. Her expenditure is too high. I guess somebody else is clocking 22,000 plus steps a day. They don't need to go get on the stair climber.
Yeah.
Outside of those two people, everybody else has some structured cardio. Um, Definitely for health, but then also performance. If you're trying to lift as heavy as possible, like if you do a leg day, balls to the wall, and you don't get out of breath, you're not really training that hard. Most people actually, I would even say, their cardiovascular systems limit them on like a high rep set of legs, like 20 plus reps on a leg press. Some people might actually have it in their legs, but not in their cardio, especially like bigger men bodybuilders. Um, so there's
Yep.
that. I feel like, dude, I'm bulking. I don't do cardio, but if I did cardio, I'd have to eat even more food, and it's so hard to eat. Well, cardio can actually help raise hunger levels. So I've had some clients that came to me bulking and they had no cardio. We added some in, and then they're like, "Oh, actually, a little bit hungrier now." So that works well. Only time that I wouldn't do a ton of cardio, like when cutting, is like certain types of cardio. I wouldn't do like high intensity interval training during a cut. Um, yeah.
Cool. I think that covers it. Do you include a deload week after so many weeks, months pushing weights? Do you do a deload week?
I never have one scheduled because life happens.
Yep.
Now, I'm a pretty regimented person. Life didn't happen to me in prep, so I didn't get a deload for like 20 plus weeks. I mean, life happened to me. I just didn't let it fully happen. But like I pushed some things out too, like getting this tooth extracted. I wasn't supposed to go back to the gym for 7 days. I went back on day 6. So I kind of had a deload there. And I got more work coming up in like 3 months. So I'll have another forced time away from the gym, which I consider a deload. If you live in the gym and you have no life stressors and nothing that ever keeps you out and you don't get sick, I would say probably every 16 to 20 weeks, you need at least 3 to 4 days fully off, or like a week of doing half the sets at 70% of the weight, something like that to give yourself a little bit of a break. But how about you? Do you plan deloads?
I really don't because like you, like life just happens sometimes. So like when I was moving, for example, I took like 3 days off, which is a lot for me. So I know it's not a full week, but it's still more than what I'm used to. Because I mean, really, I got a workout while I was moving. It was a lot. It was I mean, I didn't hire movers, so I moved everything myself. So yeah, I don't ever schedule anything. But I don't know, my training's also not just super intense either. And I'm pretty good about my rest days. Like I mean I always take at least 2 to 3 rest days every week. So I just don't ever feel like I have a need for a deload week, to be honest.
Yeah, you can base it on other things too, like objectively, like are you feeling more beat up? I kind of do this. Did you have 3 sessions in a row where you didn't hit PRs, or 3 sessions of a single body part? Like, let's say, like, you know, chest, then legs, then back. You had 3 terrible sessions in a row. Might be time for a deload. Or if you did legs this week, legs next week, and legs the following week, and you regressed each week, might be time for a deload. Like especially if you're in a bulk. If you're in a cut, that can kind of happen, or if you're in prep, that can kind of happen. But in those cases, a deload might be necessary. Or sometimes I've just had clients come to me and be like, I'm so stressed. I'm not sleeping enough. I have this extra thing due at work this week. And then I'm like, okay, take that 2 hour training on Monday and go get an hour and a half nap, or go to bed an hour and a half early, or sleep in an hour and a half. Like, trade that time in the gym for a little bit extra recovery with sleep, so that the following week you can go back and hit it harder.
I like it. All right. So this is our next question. I prefer to push myself 6 days a week and luxuriate in my PJs by the fire on Sunday, assuming I get extra steps on the 6 days so that I average out at my step goal for 7 days. Is this okay? The example she gave was 11,000, roughly 700 steps per day for 6 days rather than 10,000 for 7.
What are your thoughts?
I mean, I get my steps every day. And my coach would not let that fly. My coach would be like, "No, you got your step goal every day." I mean, I guess if you're I guess it again, it's like how serious are you about your goals? I think if you are a competitor and you're really trying to stay on top of your data and you're tracking all of that, I would say just get your steps every day. Um, if your lifestyle, you're under a few steps and then you're over steps most of the week, not the end of the world, not going to make or break you. Just depends on how bad you want your results.
I agree on it probably won't make or break you. I, I think we got to be careful here, not to say like how bad do you want your results, because I do think like from a caloric standpoint, it's going to even out after that week. But from a health standpoint, my coach is the same. You're getting your steps every single day. There's no excuses. And I kind of subscribe to that, but I wouldn't give somebody more steps than they needed. Maybe they only need 8,000 steps a day for their calorie goals or for their weight loss goals. So maybe they don't even need to do that 10,000 every day. But what I want to hit on is they said they prefer to push themselves 6 days a week. I don't know what you're doing to push yourself, but I can guarantee that 6 days a week in a row of hard training is not hard training. Sorry, there's just nobody training hard 6 days in a row. Even like collegiate athletes, even people at the top of the game, even people using PEDs, they're not training hard 6 days in a row. They might think they are, but they're not. I think for that person, maybe 3 days on, 1 day off, 2 days on, 1 day off would be a massive improvement. And if they don't believe me, try it for a month and watch how your numbers and your performance in the gym go. You just about guarantee it's going to go up. As far as those steps, I don't know. It's not that hard to get 10,000 steps. I guess if you really just want to lay in bed all day for a day, go for it. But again, you're talking about pushing yourself and how hard you train. You're going to need that activity and that movement, that blood flow on that day of recovery. Otherwise, you're not going to recover as well. If you sit on the couch all day, you're not going to recover as well. So again, depends on your goals and how far away you are from them or what you need to do to get there. Then again, if this is working great for you, sometimes everybody's a little bit different. And if it's not broke, why fix it? If you're hitting PRs every time in those 6 days and you take that day off and you feel fine and you feel recovered, then maybe you're a little bit of a genetic freak and you can do something that other people can't. But I would just I would kind of do a little bit of internal searching and see. I could probably guarantee this. They probably just enjoy being in the gym. They're one of those people that feel accomplished when they go to the gym or feel good about themselves for going. So they're like, I need to go more often. Then I can reward myself with this day off after I work so hard. So it's probably their mindset behind it more than anything else. But now I'm getting really deep into this question.
I know, like this could go so many ways. Like in her case, if your goal is 10,000 and you're going over 11,000, roughly 700 6 days a week, that's not that bad. But like, what if, you're doing like 13,000 steps during the week, so you only have to do like 6,000 on your rest day? Like there's so much like gray area there. So in her situation, I feel like it's not that big of a deviation, but like I do feel like you have to be careful with how much you're deviating from your steps there. I do think the consistency is really what's important when it comes to that goal. But yeah, it's like, well, if you're making progress and it's working, cool. Like don't do anything. But if you start to not make progress, maybe just do it consistently.
And take more rest days.
All right. Okay. So 15. Who's the friend who supports you the most?
Well, that one's going to be easy.
I know. Mine is John, 100%, like hands down.
Yeah. If we're just talking strictly friends, yes, Brooke. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I got a lot of fucking close people in my life. I remember my ex Laura told me when I met her that she had 15 best friends, and I was like, "You're such a liar. There's no way you have 15 close friends." She's like, "Well, I spent 3 hours a day talking to all of them." And I'm like, "You're out of your mind." Now, man, I'm upset that iPhone only lets me have 9 pinned messages at the top and WhatsApp only lets me have 3. I'm like, I got more than 9 people that I talk to every single day. So I do have a lot of people in my life. If you didn't make this list, that's nothing against you. I think Brooke and I have something special here where we've been through a lot of the same things. We've been friends for a few years now. We do the same thing for a living. So before we had this like co-partnership here with the Vegans Who Lift podcast and the Vegans Who Lift Academy, like we were both like solo entrepreneurs doing the exact same thing. So we became friends through that as well. So yeah, we just have a lot of reasons why we're in each other's lives. So yeah, I'm gonna say Brooke. I mean, even from a business side too, like Brooke has done so much for me that probably nobody will ever fully know the whole scope of. And so I'm just really grateful for all of the things she's given me.
Like John is so supportive. Like we could easily be competitors. Like we both pretty much have the same client demographic. Like we pretty much have the same gig here, but like we totally like support each other. Like John will be like, "Hey, I just signed up with this company. I got an affiliation with them. You should send them an email. Here's their info." Like who does that? Like nobody does that.
Yeah.
So, stuff like that. Like, "Hey, I'm going to this event. Like it might be cool, for you to check out. You want to go to this event?" Like, "Hey, I'm doing this podcast." Like I remember I wanted to do a podcast and I was like, "Yeah, I really want to start to do a podcast." And you were like, "Well, if you need a co-host, I'll be your co-host." And I'm like, "Shit, let's do it." Like, and then we had the coaching academy and you're like, "Hey, I'm thinking about doing this coaching academy. You want to do it?" And I'm like, "Yeah, let's do it." And then we totally like trade off our task. Like if you're doing something, you're like, hey, can you send out the survey or whatever? And I'm like, yeah, got it. And then like, if you need something, I'm like, hey, don't worry about it. I'll cover her homework this week. So it's like on so many ways we support each other, like emotionally, like business, everything. So it's just there's nobody who would even come close on my list.
Oh, I'm just grateful for all of it. I mean, yeah, like you hit the nail on the head there. We so easily could be competitors, but I don't care if somebody, follows me and then they sign with you. Like there's plenty of fish in the sea. I'm gonna get all the clients I need. And I'm sure some people have watched Brooke and then come to me. It all comes back. And I got a lot to say. Like you literally brought green bites into my home and now into my life. And I got some sitting over there waiting on me. Like I wouldn't have green bites if it wasn't for you. And if you guys haven't tried green bites, you are missing out. We both have links in our bio. Go support Brooke. Use her code. I fucking love green bites. And then I think you found Say Grace. Or did you turn me on to them? I don't even
I think
remember
I
now.
did. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
because I'm pretty sure they asked me like, "Hey, is there anybody that would be good for an affiliate?" And I was like, "The Bodybuilding Vegan. Message him right
Right?
now. Like he would be perfect." But you turned me on to No Cow, which was good.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, Super
Tried to get
Team
you on True
Foods. I think.
Nutrition.
Yeah, I know, but I already got veg. But yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah, I mean, we definitely we help each other out.
I
I
need to
love.
talk to you off
What's that?
air. Super Team Foods is down to partner. So I meant to talk to you and Sean about that before this got live, but we got an exciting new protein bar company coming for you guys, and they are a little bit different. They're savory, and he was instructing me when I sell them to people or sample them with people to say that they are crunchy, not chewy. So they're pretty good. Have
They're
you have you
so
tried them?
good.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, they are so good. I'm, like, dying for them to come out with, like, a buffalo
New f-
flavor or, like, a buffalo ranch. I'm
Oh
like,
my god,
"I
yes.
know!" That would be such a good one.
um They're kinda almost like wafers, but they're high in protein. They'd be perfect for camping, um,
Gluten-free and soy-free.
and nut-free. So that was the biggest problem with no cow. I got some clients that have nut allergies, so they couldn't use the no cow. So, I love them in, like, savory oats or Allie, if you're listening, she loves salads. These go great in a salad too. So if you're like, "Oh, well, I
Mm.
want some protein in my salad. I already got the carbs because I got some fruit in there or whatever." Like, well, now we got your protein covered. So, Super Team Foods, check the links in our bio. Whenever this airs, we should have them updated. But yeah, they're a pretty cool company. I know the CEO, the owner. Like I literally was on the phone with him the other day, and I want to help him change the world because I think he's bringing something new to the market that we don't really see. You can go get a sweet vegan protein bar anywhere, but a savory one, a little bit harder to find.
Yeah, that's a great idea to put them on salads. I'm gonna have to try that.
Mhm.
Alright, John, you're gonna love this next one.
Yeah.
Why do you take so long to respond to messages?
Oh, you know what though? I get it. I get it because when I've had a few of these aha moments. When I first started out, I had no clue. When I'd message somebody that had 100,000 followers and then I'd see them make a post or something, I'd be like, they didn't reply to me. Did they forget about me? I didn't realize they're probably getting 100 to 200 DMs a day. And like they have to carve out hours to reply to everybody. So, yeah, if we take a while and if you're a paid client, you got 24 hours. If you message me today, right now, it's 1:39 p.m. I will have a reply to you by 1:39 p.m. tomorrow. Or you have my phone number. You can text me directly and be like, yo, why didn't you reply to my client message? And I will not get upset. There have been a few times I got some awesome clients. Rachel, actually, she sent me some videos the other day and then she sent a question underneath them. I answered the question real quick, but I forgot about the videos. She waited till like 25 hours. She's like, hey, just in case, maybe you didn't see it, but there's some videos up there too. And I was like, oh shit, I missed that. So then I took care of her video. So thank you, Rachel, for being kind and letting me know I fucked up. But for the most part, I mean, if it's on Instagram, like I love you guys. I appreciate all the questions, all of the information that you share with me about your lives and what you need help with or whatever. Anybody can reach out at any time. It's just I don't always have time to get back to everybody. I spend my screen time shows at least 2 hours a day on Instagram, and 90% of that is replying to DMs. I'm not on there to scroll.
Yeah. Look, I would pretty much reiterate what you said. All I can say is I'm doing my best, guys. I'm doing my best.
Yeah.
Truly, like it's a lot to run your own business, and then on top of that, we have another business we just started, and like right now, I'm kind of a one person show. Like I do all my bookkeeping, I do all of my content, I do all of my coaching. I did have an assistant, but I let him go. So I'm doing everything on my own right now. And like John said, people who are paying me, my clients, number one priority. So, I mean, hopefully it wasn't. It was that anonymous question. Hopefully it wasn't my client who said that. But yeah, clients within 24 hours. I know there's different time zones, but doing my best. And then, DMs are going to come after that. And, you know, some DMs are a little bit more important than others too. So it's all about priorities. And I'll do the best that I can. I can promise you that you will get a reply.
Yep.
I can assure you you will get a reply. I can't promise when it will be. But hey, if you want to talk to me all the time and ask me questions all the time, you could definitely be a client.
Yeah. Um, okay, if it's been like 3 or 4 weeks, I definitely missed it somehow, and sometimes that happens.
Yeah.
I'll open a message at the gym or whatever and be like, "Oh, I got time to reply to this person in between my set," and then somebody will come up and be like, "Yo, I haven't seen you in forever. Let's take a photo," and I'm like, "Oh, okay, sure," and then I forgot that I had opened the message, and I mean, this happens with my family and stuff too, so it's not just you. A little bit of grace, a little bit of don't assume the third agreement, don't make assumptions, and I don't have a problem if you follow up like, "Hey, dude, it's been 2 weeks you didn't reply. Did you see this?" Like, "Oh shit, I'm super sorry." The other thing I'll say, the other aha moment when I worked with my first coach, I'd be like, "Yo, I checked in at 9 a.m. and it's now 3 p.m. and this joker's making an Instagram reel and he can reply to a comment on there, but he can't get back to my check." I'm like, "What is he doing?" Well, now that I have 40 clients, it is a constant hamster wheel of, I got all the message in order from most recent to least recent. And I'm going to start with least recent because if I start with most, I'm just going to be in chats with you guys all day long, back and forth. And I'm going to get to like 5 people and that's it. So I have to start with the people that have been waiting 18 hours for a reply and then work up through it. And like, there's times where I work on client replies for 3 or 4 hours in the morning. And by noon, I'm still only up to like 10 p.m. from the night before. Like I'm not caught up. But then I have an obligation with the company to make a post on Instagram. So it's like, yes, I know you checked in, but so did 8 other people before you. But I also promise it's again, like Brooke said, I'm a one-man show. I don't got somebody fake in my DMs replying to you. I don't have people making my content for me, at least fully. Sean does my YouTube for me. So thank you, Sean. Like even to the point of writing my descriptions. He's fucking awesome. But I just wouldn't even be able to have a YouTube channel if I had to do that all myself. And then from Instagram, I do all my own posting. I have people that help edit my reels and stuff. Shout out Arjav if you're ever listening to this. Couldn't do a lot of that without you just because I wouldn't have the bandwidth. But like Brooke said, like we are kind of one person running a multifaceted operation here.
Yeah.
So
We do our best, guys. We do our best.
that's gonna be my thing that I put out this week. I want people to know that. Like when we put out the little clip, it's gonna be that. So like
Yes.
mental note for me around 116.
Yep. There you go. That's going to be a good
Uh,
one. All right. 17. I'm having a hard time giving up cheese. Any advice?
I would go visit a slaughterhouse. Go watch them slit the throats of some dairy cows. I don't think I would ever want cheese again after seeing that. Back when I was vegetarian, if I got to go watch that happen, that probably would have been a quick fix for me. So, a kinder way of me saying that is, what's your why? Why are you trying to give up cheese? Do you at least care or respect or love animals? If so, that's a pretty good why. Um, I would focus on that more than anything else because for me, once I figured out being vegan, it was an overnight switch. I couldn't do it. I couldn't contribute to hurting an animal. If I wasn't gonna go in there and physically kill it myself, I sure as hell wasn't gonna pay somebody to do what I'm not even strong enough to do. So, um, find your why, but then there's so many. Oh my god, you were living in a golden age of vegan cheese. Brooke probably has some brands that she could share. I don't like go out to get stuff like this that often, but the restaurants I go to always have good options. But even like Publix, Walmart has I think they have a great value vegan cheese.
Hmm.
And it's probably just because there's so many lactose intolerant people out there. It might not be the best, but if you're strapped for cash, go to Walmart. Trader Joe's has theirs. I know Publix carries some, Whole Foods, Sprouts. Like you can get vegan cheese just about anywhere.
Yeah. Similar to John, I went vegan overnight. It was very simple for me to see why I was doing what I was doing, and it was just like I didn't have any reservations about it whatsoever. But that being said, I know a lot of people struggle with cheese. A lot of people, that's like the last thing they want to give up. And you're not alone because cheese is actually addictive. It is created to be addictive. I don't know the exact science behind it. I'd have to go back and watch it. But if you guys are curious, look up Dairy is Scary on YouTube. And it will tell you just how addictive cheese is to your brain. And it's something similar to cocaine. It's kind of crazy. So check out Dairy is Scary. It will also show you the process that it takes for cheese to get to you in the little packet at the grocery store. And that might also help you to ditch the cheese. And like John said, there are great alternatives out there now. Panachisa, we love Panachisa. That one's really, really good. Follow Your Heart is actually not bad. Miyoko's is so good. It's like real cheese. So yeah, I mean, there's no limit. And shit, you can even make your own. Like I've made my own out of cashews and like carrots and turmeric, and I don't know. You can look it up
Nutritional
online.
yeast.
Nutritional yeast, and that shit is good. Like I made some high protein nachos with that. I mean, like there's so many good options now. It all comes down to being clear about your why. Like, is it because it's unhealthy? Is it because it makes you feel like shit? Is it because of the animals? Whatever it is, just remember that.
Well, I mean, if you're ethically opposed to cheese, you could probably find a breastfeeding woman and get some milk from her and go make your own cheese. And then that way you're not hurting any animals and you're getting cheese. And if that sounds weird to you, we're meant to drink breast milk. We're not meant to drink other animals' milk. So maybe do a little soul searching there. I'm not drinking no breast milk right now
No, me
or
either.
animal milk. Elwoods, they have dog milk. You could do dog milk from ethically sourced dogs. And don't worry,
Delicious.
as soon as they stop producing that milk, their throat is slit in the most kind way possible.
Oh, that's great.
We
Oh my
live in
god,
a weird world. Like
it's
I
funny
think
but
in
not funny.
a couple hundred years, people are gonna be like, "What the fuck are we doing?" I really
Yeah,
hope. I
yeah.
really hope. If not, what just means we're gone and we failed. All right.
18. Why did you start competing?
I'm competitive. I wrestled in high school. I used to play soccer before that. I fell in love with lifting and more so with bodybuilding around like 15 years old. By the time I turned 20, I realized like, oh, I probably could compete. Um, and it would be kind of fun to like put this to the test. I do think that I already like, kind of had the vegan chip on my shoulder. Like I want to show that like a vegan can do well on stage. But I did want to just have like a competitive aspect to something that had always been a hobby for me. Um, for me, this question is okay. I would say the better question for me is why do you still compete? And for me, it's because I'm vegan and because this is my medium, my outlet for activism. If I wasn't the bodybuilding vegan, if I was just the vegan, I guarantee my following would be less than half of what it is, and my impact would be less than half of what it is. So for right now, I'm the bodybuilding vegan. That's why I compete. That's why I do this. If I find a better form of activism that doesn't take years off my life or hours out of every single day of my life to be in the gym, or all the stress or supplements or super supplements that this takes. If I can find a better route for activism, I'll take it. But for right now, I feel like this is my cross to bear, and I'm grateful to have a body to do it with. So that's my reason why I started and why I still do it. How about you, Brooke?
Very similar. I have always loved lifting. It's just been my passion forever. And I really did want to push myself and see if I could take it to that level. And I just wanted to see how I would do. I had several people tell me I would do well in competitive bodybuilding. So I was like, all right, I'll try it. And I mean, also partly I just left a terrible relationship like we talked about in the past podcast. And I was just kind of on this roll of like, I'm going to do all the things that I couldn't do before. And one of them was competing. Like I wasn't allowed to compete. Um, so I wanted to. I was like, I'm just going to live my life and, whatever happens, cool, but I'm going to give it my best shot. And yeah, also I was already vegan, so I did kind of want to show at least to the people around me, like especially in my gym, there was like a little bit of criticism there about me being vegan, so I just kind of wanted to prove that I could do it and make it to the stage and keep all my muscle and not look like a string bean up there. So, yeah, and I love it. It was a lot of fun. I mean, it's fun. I love pushing myself. I like a challenge.
Yeah, I don't blame you. And it's funny how you were told you weren't allowed to compete, just like I was told a vegan can't build muscle, and it's like when somebody tells you you can't, it's almost like a challenge. It's like, oh,
Totally.
can't I? when I used
Totally.
when I used to work at the jail, and I would tell somebody, all right, you're gonna turn around and put your hands behind your back. They'd say, no, I'm not. And I'm like, oh, we're about to find out. You're about to duck around and find out. That was kind of like, okay, game on. I don't miss those days. No.
I wouldn't either. Yeah, that does not sound fun.
I mean, no. It was maybe, I mean, this sounds a little weird, but a little empowering to like know that I I could do what I needed to do to take care of myself. I mean, there's always a little bit of fear. Like anybody could show up there, like the best MMA fighter in the world could just happen to get booked in for a DUI or something, and then they kick my ass. But usually I handled myself pretty well. I was fair. I felt like I didn't want shit to ever come back on me. So I followed every rule in the rule book, the stupid ones and the serious ones. And then that way, if there was ever an allegation that I did something wrong, everybody knew me and they're like, this guy follows every stupid rule. Like, I know he didn't do that. So, yeah, past life, so different. I was vegan there. I was the only vegan. I was probably the only vegan in the whole damn jail. But,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, 19. What do I do if I'm in a deficit but not losing weight?
Mm.
I have a million answers here.
I know there's a lot of things you could say. I mean, I think first of all, make sure you're actually in a deficit. Are you tracking? Make sure you're tracking your food. Make sure you're accurately tracking your food.
Dude, we need a post, like a little tree, like where it's like, you're not
Yeah.
losing weight, but you're in a deficit. Are you actually in a deficit?
Yeah.
Yes.
CB or like,
No.
yeah.
Like, are you tracking everything that goes in your mouth? Yes or no? If no, turn that into a yes.
Yeah. And like you could go back to the top. Yeah.
We need one of those because like there's so many things. So most people, the easiest thing here is you're probably not in a deficit, or you are. And if you're in a deficit and you're not losing weight, is your protein high? Maybe there's a chance you're recomping, especially if you're on super supplements. But if you're not, then that's probably a little bit less likely the case. The other thing that I see all the time, especially with competitors or people that have been in an extended period of a calorie deficit, their stress levels are high. They're doing cardio, they're not eating that much. Their cortisol raises. As your cortisol raises, your stress increases. And as your stress increases, the amount of water that your body retains raises. So you might every week be gaining half a pound of water while losing half a pound of fat. So at the end of the month, you look flatlined, but you're really 2 pounds down in fat and 2 pounds up in water. So when you take a week off from cardio or you eat a cheat meal and you get some extra carbs and your body stops freaking out, you'll see a 2 pound drop overnight. And you're like, oh, wow, I just lost 2 pounds last night. It's like, no, you just saw it. after last night. It's been going on all week. So it depends. If you've been cutting for 2 weeks and you've seen no weight loss, you're probably not in a deficit. If it's been 2 months, 12 months, there might be other reasons at play here.
Yeah. So if you're like, make sure you're in a deficit, make sure you're tracking your food. If you're truly in a deficit and you're not losing weight, get your thyroid checked. That could be a big culprit there. Get your hormones checked. I mean, other hormones can cause issue too. And gut health. Gut health is a big one because that's also going to affect how you partition your nutrients. And, you know, if you aren't absorbing your food properly or utilizing your food properly, which all happens in the gut, then that's an issue. But like John said, for most people, it's just going to be you aren't actually in a deficit. And that includes if you're in a deficit Monday through Friday, but Saturday, Sunday, you go crazy and you binge eat, you may be in maintenance. So all of those things play a role here. And I would lastly say, if you're struggling and you're not losing weight, hire a coach.
One of us.
Either me or John, nobody else.
Yeah, no one else in the world. Wait,
No one else.
in about 3 months, we'll have 12 Academy graduates that you could definitely choose from. So,
Yeah. So just run on your hamster wheel for another 12 weeks.
Good Lord. Oh.
All right. 20. Targeting tummy fat in women after 40 whose tummy is hanging on for dear life.
Refer to question 19. Are you
True.
are you in a deficit? Now, so for this person, I can break it down a few ways that I would look at it from a coaching perspective. Are we losing weight or body fat week over week? If we are, great. Let's keep that going. Unfortunately, we don't decide where and what order our body stores body fat. If you started out a string bean and then you ate a lot of food over years, and at first it went on your stomach, and then it went on your butt, and then it went on your face, when you go to start cutting, it's going to come off your face, then off your butt, then off your stomach. It's going to come off in the same order that it was put on. Some people might not be so in tune with themselves to know. Me, I definitely like my last vegetables. I can't speak. Vegetables. I'm gonna stop trying. But the last spots that I store fat are my lower back and my glutes. My quads are so big that like fat just doesn't even really appear there, even though it probably is. So like I'll have veins in my quads, and my quads will be big all the time and like relatively lean. I'll have striated quads way before I have abs, even. So for me, like I just kind of know where stuff is. If you've not been that lean or not paid attention, you might not know. But back to the whole point, keep taking fat off. It will eventually come off your stomach, I promise. And then if you want to get into adding supplements, Yohimbine HCl is a great supplement. Reach out to either me or Brooke for dosing based on your weight and your experience levels, but usually somewhere between, for a woman, 2.5 to 5 milligrams up to maybe 15 towards the top end. I got some competitors at that range. And Yohimbine HCl encourages your body to use up stored, usually like belly fat, as an energy source, because it basically goes against what your body has ingrained, that this is stomach fat. This is really important for me to keep. I might starve. I can't let go of it. You're basically telling your body it's okay. You're not going to starve. You can use that for energy today. And that will target your belly fat a little bit faster, but it's not going to be like make or break. It's not going to be overnight. It's just going to make you 10, 15% better. So I got really long winded there, but that would be my assessment.
Yeah, diet over everything. I mean, you can't technically target belly fat. Spot reduction is a myth, but the best thing you can do is stay on top of your diet, keep moving your body, build muscle, and give it time. Unfortunately, it's just a patience game.
Yeah. You didn't get there overnight. It ain't coming off overnight. If it comes off overnight,
Yep.
something's wrong. Something's wrong.
Yeah, majorly.
Nothing good happens fast in the sport of bodybuilding, or really like in like health and wellness. It's more
Yep.
about a process, building those healthy habits. So yeah, give it a little time. Check, like Brooke said, if it's been a while and nothing's working, check your hormones, work with a coach. 21. Can you elaborate on rep count speed, and rest between sets. They gave no parameters on what they're doing.
I know it's a lot there.
So there could be a lot of ways we could. I'll let you take the first stab, and I'll throw anything else I can on top.
Rep count is going to range quite a bit. So depending on whether you're doing an isolation movement, you're doing a compound lift, what your goals are you trying to build muscle? Are you trying to train for endurance? Rep count can vary quite a bit. So I would say figure out what your goals are, and then, you can kind of figure out what your rep count should be. Speed is a good one to bring up because I do think a lot of people go through their movements too fast, and there is a lot to be said for time under tension. And truly, it's a lot more effective. And a lot of bodybuilders, like I know, like Jay Cutler, for example, always talks about how it was less about. Now, I mean, relatively, he lifted heavy, but it was less about the weight he did and more so like the time under tension and actually feeling the movement. So many people just like ego lift and go crazy in their movements, and they're not even really utilizing the muscle, and they lose that mind muscle connection. So I do think it's important to have awareness of how fast you're going in a movement and make sure that it's controlled. Like you should be like as just as I don't know, I'm trying to think of a good example, like a specific exercise, but you should be able to put the weight down just as controlled as you pick the weight up or release the weight if it's like a lat pull down or something. And rest between sets, that can vary a lot too. I mean, if it's a really heavy compound lift, anywhere from like 2 to 3 minutes. Power lifters do even more sometimes. You see all those memes of them like pulling out their fold out chairs in the gym and then just sitting and resting between sets. And if you're doing a more, bodybuilding type style workout, if you're in a cut, you could do 60 seconds, 90 seconds, depending on what the movement is. So yeah, there's a lot of variability there.
Yeah. Running
What do
through
you
one
want to
more
throw in?
time. Assuming hypertrophy is the goal, you want to build muscle or just be fit. Rep count, any of my clients, is going to be between 6 and 30. Probably never be over 30, never be under 6. You don't need to go do a 1 rep max on your bench to find out how strong you are. There was an old saying that they used to tell me in high school: you can either test your strength or build your strength. When you're doing a 1 rep max, you're just testing. You're doing it for your ego, or you're a competitive power lifter and you know what the fuck you're doing and you're not listening to this podcast. That's basically where we're at. If you're asking us questions, you're not at that point yet. I'm not even at that point. Powerlifting scares me. Trying to do a 1 rep max, that scares me. That's a lot of weight. As far as the speed, a few different aspects there. Anybody listening to this, if you're not already majorly thinking about it, slow down your negatives. That's where we build more muscle. We build more muscle in the negative portion of the movement. It makes sense. Our bodies are stronger there. If you could military press up more weight than you can control down, then prehistoric cavemen probably would have all killed themselves by pushing up a stone and then dropping on their head and dying. So, like, it makes sense. So what you do is, what I would recommend for military press, make your eccentric, the part, or no, concentric, sorry, I'm trying to use fancy words. When you're pushing the weight up, when you're doing the hard part of the movement, make that as fast and explosive while still being controlled as possible. And then slow down that negative and try and keep that muscle group that you're targeting in play. I listen to Justin Mahaley. He does his own podcast, the Grow or Die podcast. What he says is have control throughout the entire range of movement. That if somebody was there in the gym and said, reverse, that you could safely reverse the range of motion. So if you're pushing up and he says reverse, well, you're not like throwing the weight up in the air to where you can't reverse. Or if you're coming back down, you're not coming down so fast that if in the middle of that rep he said reverse and you had to push back up, that you couldn't do it. So that's one way to think about rep speed. And then rest between sets. I've done a lot of research into this. I got some own anecdotal experience. Based on the research, it sounds like the more rest, the better. The only reason we don't take 10 minutes of rest in between sets, or the only two reasons, one is nobody has 4 to 6 hours to spend in the gym a day. And if you do, go do something else with your life. Go for 2 hours and then donate and volunteer the other 4. Like, do something more important. outside of that injury, if you do a really hard set and then you sit down for 10 minutes, you're going to be approaching the next set cold and more likely to get injured. But I'll tell you what, I'm going today. If my hip allows it, I'm going to be doing some heavy ass pendulum squats. I only got 2 sets on there. I got my top set and a back off set. After that top set of like 10 reps, you bet your sweet biscuits I'm gonna go sit down somewhere for 5. Well, I don't sit down on leg day. I'm gonna go walk around somewhere for at least 5 minutes to get ready to go kill myself on that second set. Because if I went back after 2 minutes, I'm probably leaving 2 or 3 reps off the table that I could have gotten. Granted, I'm a relatively advanced lifter and I know how to push myself really hard and I know how much rest I need. If you're doing 3 sets of 10 reps, you don't need 5 minutes of rest between because you're not even pushing yourself that hard. If you're getting 10 on every single set, you're clearly not going to failure on the first 2 sets, or you would have done something less than 10 on the subsequent sets. Anyways, I digress. I'm getting long-winded here.
That was good. Yeah.
Thank you.
That was good. That was a way to make the question be specific. That is one thing about taking Q&As is like you just get, you know, like some of these weren't even questions.
Yeah. Well, that one, like if that was a power lifter, everything I just said is kind of out the
Right.
window. Other than the
Right.
best one.
Context. Yeah. Context
Yeah.
is a big part here. And I guess sometimes people forget that we don't know their goals. So yeah.
Yeah. I think it's good though, because we answer in a wide enough range that it probably helps the person that asked, but there's
Right.
probably 100 people listening to this that didn't ask any questions that are learning something good here. So
Yeah. For sure.
that's my whole goal with this. Maybe feeling 22, Taylor Swift. And then we call it because there's no way in hell we're getting through
Yeah.
4 years. Like
Yeah.
we
There's
could
no way.
rapid fire, but we could just have a part 2.
I think we should do a part 2 because we're about halfway through. So that would be great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Taylor
The
Swift,
classic.
feeling 22.
It's a classic. It's a vegan classic, guys.
Never been asked this before in my entire life. I'm so
Gosh.
blown away that somebody asked this. What are some of your best protein sources? Um, well, actually, you know what? If we didn't cover it, somebody else is going to ask, and now we can say, "Hey, go listen to Vegans Who Lift Q&A #1," and then they're going to have to listen through all hour and 42 minutes of this to get their answer. So we'll get some
Yeah.
solid listens. But cheat note. At least for me, I don't know for Brooke, I don't know if it is still for you or not, but I have pinned on my page Brooke and I's top 7 vegan protein sources. So I plan on leaving that there because the number of times I'm out and about and don't have time to go into in depth, I'll just hand somebody my card and be like, check out my Instagram. It's the pinned post. It's literally right there. And it covers all of our protein options. But
Yeah.
I'll let you go first. What's your Sean said part 2, electric boogaloo. But Brooke, let's like kind of whittle it down. Like if you could only
Yeah.
pick one, what would be the first one you pick?
Damn, that's a tough one. Man, I am obsessed with Say Grace protein. I mean, I am just obsessed with that stuff. For anybody who's listening and doesn't know what it is, it's soy protein isolate, but it's basically like TVP, but not in that
Concentrate, not
concentrate.
isolate.
Yeah.
If I understand correctly, at least based on my previous experience, that isolate is more than 90% protein by weight, and a concentrate is, I think, more than 80.
Okay.
So like
I
in
know it's
between
like
that.
very like the way they made it is like very specific. So I probably don't have the science right because I know and I've heard them say that they've removed the phytoestrogens too, which I don't know the science there, but that's what they claim, which I mean, I don't care about, but I know some of you guys are going to freak out about that. So if that's important to you, you know, they have the phytoestrogens removed.
It's a leaner, the concentrate, the soy protein concentrate is leaner, and by leaner I mean more protein per calorie than even TVP. So if you like
Mhm.
TVP and you want to take your cut a little bit harder, or you want to focus more on protein, then check out Say Grace protein. It'll be a better form from that. That's good. I didn't even think about that first. I eat that every day.
I love that stuff, and like the variety. I mean, I love all of it. I love the bits. I like the nuggets too. Like if I'm doing like because some of my meals, like my carbs, I have like no carbs right now, but if I have a meal where I don't have any carbs with it, I like to do the nuggets because they're so filling and I can just
Mm.
pair that with a veggie and it's like a full meal. I'm totally full, totally satiated. You can make like little buffalo chicken nuggets with it. Like it's just so good.
Yeah, good
Low
point. All right,
fat, low carb.
say grace. It's in our bios. Check it out. I'm gonna go. So that was our first one. The second one that I would put out there for me is pea protein isolate. I've used that for over a decade from True Nutrition. That's my go-to. The reason I like it, I guess you could get unflavored and like bake with it or put it in like chili. I did that once. I made chili that was too watery and I put some pea protein isolate in there. So
Hmm.
that was like
Was it
super easy
actually good?
way to, yeah, it just thickened it up because there was like no flavor. It would almost be like adding a little bit of flour. But
Yeah.
the reason I say pea protein isolate would be my number one is because it digests well, it mixes well. From True Nutrition, the flavoring is awesome. It's pretty hypoallergenic. Like I don't know more than like 3 people in the world that are allergic to peas. Um, so there's probably more, but like compared to soy allergies or gluten allergies or milk allergies, it's just awesome. So pea protein isolate would be the one I would say first. That'll be our second one. I'll let Brooke take the third one.
Mm. I love seitan. I absolutely love seitan. I've been adding it back in lately. I mean, I like making it from home. That's my favorite way to do it. And I know you mostly make yours at home too, just because you can really control the flavoring. Like Upton's Naturals. Have you tried theirs?
Mm-mm.
No, okay. So they're mostly at Publix, I think, and maybe Whole Foods. Theirs is good, but it doesn't have a lot of flavor. So I like making my
Mm.
own at home, and seitan is just such a good source, and you can control for the carbs, the fat ratio, which is really good too. And if you have nutritional yeast in it, it definitely is a really good source of protein because you've got all those amino acids. So I love seitan. I like can't get sick of it ever.
Next time we're in Orlando, I'm gonna take you to the Kind Cleaver. The Kind Cleaver. It's a sandwich shop, and they make their own seitan in a pressure cooker. So it comes out in like a
Hmm.
cylinder, almost like meat. And yeah, Sean said it's really good. Thank you, Sean. He encouraged me to try it. And oh my God, best seitan I've had in my life. And they layer up these sandwiches. I think they said there's like 70 grams of protein on each sandwich. It's a big sandwich.
Damn. Oh my
Um,
gosh. Yeah, we've got to go there. I wonder if we
but
could make it in a pressure cooker ourselves.
we could reach out and just DM them and be like, yo, teach me your secrets. But yeah,
Yeah.
Kind Cleaver, check them out. If you guys are in the Orlando area, highly recommend. Probably one of the best sandwiches of my life. Seitan's great. It's very high in protein. Again, there's not a whole lot of fat or carbs paired with it. You can flavor it however you want. Only problem is if you have a gluten intolerance or a gluten allergy or sensitivity, seitan wouldn't be a great option for you. So then if that's you, what I'm gonna go to number 4 is TVP. A little bit more carbs than your Say Grace, but still, it's a soy-based protein option. So you're going to get a great amino acid profile. What I love about it, it's so easy. It's like making like pasta or like oatmeal. Like you just take it, you put it in a bowl, you add some water, you throw spices on it if you want to, you throw it in the microwave for 3 minutes, add some veggies, you're done. It's so easy, and I'm so lazy. So that's why I love it. Brooke showed me if you make a smoothie bowl or oatmeal or whatever, you can just put the raw TVP on top of it, and it's like a crunchy topping to get some extra protein. So TVP would be number 4 on the list.
I
I
love
love it. Oh,
TVP.
and
I also
I
made a
buy the
pie crust with it. Yes, I've got to show you how to do that. I made a TVP pie crust and I made a high protein cheesecake. It was amazing.
I'm just gonna pay you to like send that to me. That sounds awesome.
I'll do it.
Um, it's also really cheap. I buy it in a 25-pound bag, so it's unless you have a soy allergy, really no reason not to use TVP. So, yeah, okay, we should make a video, a cooking video, vegans who cook. Anyways, all right, that'll be number 4. What do we got for 5?
Okay, so for 5, I'm going to say it's kind of like pea protein isolate and kind of like TVP. If pea protein isolate and TVP had a baby, it would be Plant Boss, which is I don't know exactly what the main ingredients are. It's basically just dehydrated pea protein. So it's just like
Yeah.
TVP in that,
Two people from peas.
but from peas. So like if you're soy intolerant or you just don't like to eat soy, you could do Plant Boss. They also have another brand called Plant Basics. I didn't want to call it pea protein isolate because I don't want people to get confused,
Mm-hmm.
but it's basically the same thing. It's just like it's like the texture of like TVP, but it's no soy. And I love that stuff too. That stuff's really good. A little bit higher in carbs, of course, but it's still very lean, very high protein, very versatile. I like to make little taco bowls and stuff with it. It's so good.
Awesome. Yeah, Plant Boss. I'm glad that you mentioned it that way because I wouldn't have even known what you were speaking about. And now they can Google it and go find it for themselves.
Yeah.
So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to do a 3-way tie because we haven't mentioned it yet. I don't know how we get this far because this is what everybody thinks of when they think of vegan protein. Tofu,
Yay!
tempeh, edamame. They're all made from soybeans. Tofu is made from like they blend it and then ferment it, I believe, or cook it. Tempeh is fermented. I like to think of tempeh as like a black bean burger, but made out of soybeans. That's basically kind of what it's like. And then you have edamame, the actual form. Any of those are a complete whole source of protein. They're going to have fiber with them. They're going to have calcium. They are going to be higher in fat though. So if you're going to cut, this is fine. It won't be paired with a lot of carbs, but just watch your fats here. Usually it's actually about 2 grams of protein for every gram of fat. So if you get like 15 grams of fat, you're getting about 30 grams of protein, which isn't bad. So I recommend that unless you have an allergy. Otherwise, it's a great source of protein and pretty cost affordable. So that was, dang, I just counted. That was 6.
6. Yeah.
Okay, 7.
7.
Do we have a 7?
Trying to think of a 7. Man, can't think of a 7.
I can give a few. We could call this one fun proteins.
Hmm.
Green bites.
Oh, okay. So
But
yeah. So
they have pea protein in them. But green bites, all y'all's foods makes vegan jerky. These are from soy, but another great like on the go snack.
Kite Hill yogurt is a really good protein source. 17
There we
grams of
go.
protein.
Okay, so vegan yogurts.
Soy milk,
Soy milk, yeah, that's a good one.
flax milk.
Let me look around my house. Sure. Oh, Misfits protein bars or Super Team Foods protein bars. Both of those are good. Sean, what's your favorite thing that we haven't mentioned? There's got to be something else out there. I think we're getting pretty close, though. I mean, we've
I know
covered.
somebody would say lentils. I mean, from a whole foods perspective, a ton of carbs.
Yeah, I don't like to think of lentils as protein. I think of them as carbs because you're gonna get so much fiber if you. Oh, hemp and flax. That's a good point. Hemp is another, like you can actually buy hemp protein. I've done it before. It's really gritty and I don't love it.
Yeah, I don't like it.
And rice, you can also get rice. Pumpkin seeds, a lot of fats there, but yes, again, if you're whole foods or just trying to get a little bit more protein, you can go that route. So yeah, we're starting to get into like the less super proteiny foods, but those are some other options for you. So I mean, if you just listen to all of this and you still can't figure out how to get protein as a vegan, I got nothing for you. Actually, I take that back. Sign up with me. I'll get you a meal plan. I'll get you everything you need. You won't even have to think about it. But I think this is a good resource. 22 questions in, 2 hours deep. We can talk. I can talk. I know I talk more than you. We should have somebody go back and like find a way to give a percentage of how much each person speaks. There's got to be some software that does this, but like I'm gonna
Maybe
be
AI could do it.
now. If I could get all the phone calls from me and Allie, it would be like 90% me and 10% her because I talk. And then if there's like a
At least you
question,
know it though. At least you know
yeah.
it and like you own it, because there's people who don't and they don't even realize like how much they can ramble, and then that's what's bad.
Yeah, I found a cheat code though. If I use some green stuff, if I smoke a little bit of weed, my thinking slows down, which is actually great. It allows me to relax or focus on stuff outside of work. But I've noticed for our conversations, if I'm high, I'll just shut up and listen, and I'll be like, "Whoa," it's a whole story versus me trying to talk so much. So I'm not telling you guys to go out and get high. I'm speaking from my own personal experience here. But
Don't do drugs, kids.
only the fun kinds. Um, actually, I mean, if appetite's an issue,
Yeah.
weed can't help.
And sleep,
Sleep, yeah.
anxiety,
All the
lots of
things that
stuff.
yeah. I can't do it during the day. I mean, if we did a high podcast, which would be funny, it would be it'd be funny for me. It'd be shitty for everybody.
I know. I was just like, I don't even know what I would expect of myself. I don't know. I feel like I don't know if I'm chatty or I don't know.
Does Joe Rogan do it? Sean, we're gonna have to do a nighttime
Joe Rogan
podcast
does do it.
where where I can be clocked out for the rest of the day, and I don't know. We can see. Probably go way left field. Yeah, I was trying to tell
Today's
Royce.
podcast is just random shit.
I was high trying to tell Royce last night. I was like, dude, when I'm high, like time slows down, but really it's just me going super slow. So I don't get stuff done. So I was like, I don't know if I've been gone for 15 minutes or like 3 hours, but I'm back. And he's like, okay.
Dude,
I'm
I say that all the time. I know there was one time I got super stoned and I was driving to Sprouts to get some groceries and it was only 20 minutes away, but it was like 10 minutes in. I look at my GPS and I'm like, holy shit, did I take a wrong turn or something? It feels like it's been an hour and it had only been 10 minutes. And I was like, oh my God, like what is happening? It's kind of trippy.
It's like the stair climber. You get on that bitch for half an hour and you
Oh,
look down, you've been on for 2.5 minutes, and you're like, what?
FML. Yeah, totally.
All
Those
right.
days are over for me.
What do we got for the outro here? Because I feel like we're at my limit.
Well, thanks everyone who submitted questions. These were great
Yeah.
questions, and even the weird questions we didn't use. Thank you.
Wait, there were weird ones?
just people being weird. Yeah, I had people who would just message me like weird stuff.
I want to know the weird.
Well, they
I
weren't
wanna know.
really questions. They were just like, I
Oh.
like your eyebrows. That kind of stuff, which is not a
They
question.
could have been talking about me.
They probably were talking about you. But thank you guys for all the questions, even the weird ones. And if we didn't get to your question, stay tuned. We will do an episode 2 in season 2.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
in
It's
season
gotta be
2.
season 2.
It
This
sure
is
is.
flown by. Fastest season of my life.
I know, crazy. And if you guys want to actually be featured on the podcast with your voice, then go to vegansexplore.com and leave us a very nice message, and you can actually hop on the podcast. And other than that, thanks for tuning in. Give us a like, subscribe.
Share with all your friends. Head over to vegansexplore.com to see everything we got to offer y'all. If you're thinking about coaching, Vegans Who Lift Academy class number 2 is going to be starting up here soon. Send us a message. I'm gonna say have the best day ever, and that's all I got, Brooke.
Yep, have the best day ever. Thanks,
All right.
guys.
Bye, guys.